Just last night, the one known as Horse's ghost struck again. Native American tribes have firmly secured their place in history as some of the most resilient and resourceful peoples to ever walk the earth. Rather than falling as easy prey despite the unforgiving landscapes of the Wild West, they mastered the art of survival. Join us as we explore the ancient wisdom that continues to offer valuable lessons in resilience, adaptability, and harmony with nature. Insights that helped Native Americans thrive in the face of immense challenges. The Wild West era, also referred to as the American frontier, encompasses the period of westward expansion in the United States, primarily during the 19th century. This era is generally recognized as beginning in the early 1800s and lasting until the official closure of the frontier in 1890, following the U.S. Census Bureau's declaration that the frontier line had effectively disappeared due to settlement. Geographically, the Wild West spanned vast and diverse territories west of the Mississippi River, including the Great Plains, the Rocky Mountains, the Southwest, and the Pacific Coast. States such as Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Montana, and California are inextricably linked to this legendary period in American history. Life on the frontier was perilous and unforgiving. Settlers and native tribes alike contended with harsh environments that range from scorching deserts to treacherous mountains and dense forests. Weather extremes, including blistering summers, frigid winters, and violent storms, posed constant threats. Beyond nature's hazards, dangers lurked in the form of wild animals such as bears, wolves, and venomous snakes. Securing sufficient food and water was a daily struggle, and medical assistance was scarce, making illness and injury potentially fatal. Additionally, the frontier was rife with conflict. Tensions between Native American tribes and settlers escalated as westward expansion encroached upon indigenous lands. Lawlessness plagued frontier towns, where bandits, cattle rustlers, and land disputes made survival even more precarious. For thousands of years before European settlers arrived, Native American tribes thrived in these challenging environments, developing exceptional survival skills and deep-rooted knowledge of the land. Each tribe adapted unique methods of hunting, foraging, building shelters, and traversing vast territories. The Plains tribes, such as the Sioux and Comanche, were expert horse riders and buffalo hunters, relying on the buffalo for food, clothing, and shelter materials. In the arid deserts of the Southwest, the Apache mastered survival by locating water sources and utilizing native plants for sustenance. Meanwhile, tribes of the Pacific Northwest, including the Haida and Tlingit, became expert fishermen and canoe builders, navigating the coastal waters with skill and precision. The survival techniques honed by Native Americans remain valuable today. Their knowledge of sustainable living, environmental stewardship, and survival skills has gained recognition in modern outdoor education and wilderness training. Many traditional practices, such as fire starting without matches, identifying edible and medicinal plants, and ethical hunting and fishing techniques, are now incorporated into survival courses and conservation efforts. These age-old methods continue to offer guidance on coexisting with nature and preserving ecosystems. An overview of Native American tribes in the Wild West. The Native American tribes of the Wild West were diverse, each with distinct languages, cultures, and survival strategies tailored to their environments. Among the most well-known were the Apache, Comanche, and Sioux. The Apache, known for their fierce independence and warrior culture, inhabited present-day Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of Texas. They were a nomadic people, relying on hunting, gathering, and strategic raiding to sustain their communities. The Apache were divided into several subgroups, including the Chiricahua, Mescalero, and Lipan, each with its own leadership and territorial range. Their deep understanding of the desert landscape allowed them to navigate harsh terrains, locate water sources, and utilize native plants for food and medicine. The Comanche, originally part of the Shoshone tribe, migrated southward from the northern Rocky Mountains into the southern Great Plains, covering present-day Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. Revered as formidable horsemen, The Comanche revolutionized plains warfare through their mastery of horseback riding, which they developed after acquiring horses in the late 17th century. Their superior mobility allowed them to dominate vast territories, conduct extensive trade, and maintain a powerful presence on the frontier. Their raiding practices and control over trade networks significantly shaped the region's socioeconomic landscape. The Sioux were a confederation of tribes comprising the Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota groups, primarily inhabiting the Great Plains across present-day North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Nebraska. They were known for their strong warrior societies, complex social structures, and rich cultural traditions. The Lakota, in particular, played a critical role in resisting westward expansion, most notably in the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, where they, alongside the Northern Cheyenne and Arapaho, defeated General George Custer and his forces. The Sioux's way of life centered around buffalo hunting, and their semi-nomadic existence was deeply connected to the land and its natural rhythms. Geographic distribution and adaptation, the regions inhabited by Native American tribes were dictated by the availability of natural resources and climatic conditions. Each tribe developed distinct survival techniques suited to their specific environment. The Apache thrived in the deserts and mountains, mastering the art of finding water, tracking animals, and utilizing edible plants in an unforgiving landscape. The Plains tribes, such as the Sioux and Comanche, relied on the vast herds of buffalo that roamed the grasslands, using every part of the animal for food, tools, clothing, and shelter. The Pacific Northwest tribes, including the Haida and Tlingit, leveraged their proximity to the ocean and rivers, excelling in fishing, woodworking, and maritime navigation. The resilience and ingenuity of Native American tribes remain a testament to their deep knowledge of the land, their adaptability, and their ability to sustain their cultures despite centuries of hardship. Today, their wisdom continues to inspire modern survival techniques, environmental conservation efforts, and sustainable living practices. The Comanche thrived in the vast, open grasslands of the Southern Plains, an environment ideally suited to their nomadic way of life. They followed the great buffalo herds, relying on them for sustenance, shelter, and tools. With their exceptional horsemanship, the Comanche traversed the sweeping plains and river valleys with remarkable speed and efficiency, making them one of the most formidable tribes of the region. In contrast, the Sioux occupied the expansive prairies and riverbanks of the Great Plains. Like the Comanche, they depended on the buffalo, which provided them with essential resources for food, clothing, and shelter. Their lands stretched across rolling grasslands and forested river valleys, where they skillfully adapted their survival techniques to the ever-changing environment. Hunting and tracking. The art of survival, one of the most vital skills in Native American survival, was the ability to track prey. Indigenous hunters were highly skilled at reading the subtle signs left by animals. Footprints were the most apparent clues, and experienced hunters could determine the species, size, and even the health of an animal by analyzing the depth, shape, and stride pattern of its tracks. For instance, a deer's hoof prints could indicate whether it was walking or running, while the spacing of the tracks could reveal its speed and direction. Beyond footprints, hunters paid close attention to broken branches, disturbed leaves, and animal droppings, all of which provided crucial information about their quarry's movements and behavior. Scratches on trees, tufts of fur, and scattered feathers further helped hunters decipher the type of animal they were tracking. This keen attention to detail, combined with an intimate knowledge of the landscape, allowed Native Americans to successfully locate and hunt their prey across diverse terrains. Once a target was found, approaching it undetected was paramount. Hunters moved with deliberate silence, stepping lightly to avoid snapping twigs or rustling leaves. They wore garments that blended seamlessly with their surroundings, often made from animal hides or woven plant fibers. Some even covered themselves in mud, leaves, or ash to mask their scent and remain invisible to their prey. Weaponry. Mastering the bow and spear, among the most powerful weapons in Native American hunting were the bow and arrow. Bows were expertly crafted from flexible woods such as ash, hickory, or Osage orange, while bowstrings were made from animal sinew, plant fibers, or rawhide. Arrows were fashioned from straight, lightweight wood and tipped with sharpened stone, bone, or later, metal points. The precision of the archer was critical. Hunters practiced relentlessly to develop the accuracy and strength required to take down game from a distance. The design of both the bow and the arrowhead varied depending on the prey. Broadhead arrows were used for larger animals like deer or elk, while smaller, more precise arrowheads were employed for birds and small mammals. Before the widespread use of bows and arrows, spears were a primary hunting tool. Crafted from sturdy wood with stone or bone tips, spears were either thrown by hand or propelled with an atlatl, a tool that extended the arm's reach and increased the velocity and force of the throw. The atlatl consisted of a wooden shaft with a notch or hook where the base of the spear rested. By flicking the atlatl forward, hunters could launch the spear with greater speed and accuracy, making it an effective weapon against large and dangerous animals. Gathering. Nature's bounty. While hunting was essential, gathering edible plants played an equally important role in survival. Native Americans possessed extensive knowledge of plant life, carefully distinguishing between safe, nutritious foods and potentially poisonous ones. They harvested berries, nuts, and roots while avoiding plants with bitter tastes or milky sap, which often signified toxicity. Seasonal awareness was key. In spring, fresh shoots and greens were collected, while summer and fall provided an abundance of fruits, nuts, and seeds. Even in arid environments, Native Americans knew how to extract sustenance from the land. The prickly pear cactus, despite its spiny exterior, was a valuable food source. Tribes carefully harvested its pads and sweet fruit, which were cooked or eaten raw. The mesquite tree, found in the Southwest, was another hidden treasure. Native Americans ground mesquite pods in a flour for bread or porridge, and its roasted seeds were brewed into a coffee-like drink. In the autumn, pine nuts became a highly prized, energy-rich food, either eaten raw, roasted, or ground into a meal. Berries were also a staple. The buffalo berry, abundant on the northern plains, was gathered by tribes such as the Lakota and preserved for winter use. Meanwhile, elderberries were transformed into jams, syrups, and beverages, valued for both their tart-sweet taste and medicinal properties. Observing and respecting nature, Native Americans honed their knowledge of plants by closely observing the behavior of animals. They noted which plants were eaten and which were avoided, using careful experimentation to determine what was safe for human consumption. They practiced sustainability, taking only what was necessary and ensuring that plant populations could regenerate. To preserve their food supply year-round, they employed effective storage and preservation techniques. Fruits and seeds were dried in the sun, while meat and fish were smoked or dried to prevent spoilage. These methods ensured that they had ample provisions, even during harsh winters. Shelter and clothing. Adapting to the environment with their deep connection to the land, Native American tribes developed highly efficient methods of building shelters suited to their environments. The teepee, an iconic conical tent, was primarily used by the Plains tribes, including the Sioux, Cheyenne, and Blackfoot. Constructed from wooden poles arranged in a circular formation and covered with buffalo hides, teepees were remarkably portable. This mobility was crucial for tribes that followed the seasonal migration of buffalo herds. The aerodynamic shape of the teepee allowed it to withstand strong winds, while a smoke hole at the top ensured proper ventilation when fires were used for warmth and cooking. Each tribe adapted its housing to its specific landscape. The Pueblo peoples of the Southwest, such as the Hopi and Zuni, built multi-story adobe dwellings that provided insulation against extreme temperatures. In the woodlands, tribes like the Iroquois lived in longhouses, communal homes constructed from wooden frames and covered with bark. In the Arctic, the Inuit built igloos from compacted snow, utilizing the insulating properties of ice to stay warm in sub-zero conditions. Clothing was crafted with equal practicality. Buckskin garments, made from deerskin, provided durability and flexibility. In colder regions, fur-lined clothing kept tribes warm, while in warmer climates, lightweight plant-based fabrics were preferred. Clothing was often adorned with intricate beadwork, feathers, and quill embroidery, reflecting cultural identity and status. A legacy of survival and adaptation, the survival techniques of Native American tribes were not only a testament to their ingenuity, but also a reflection of their deep respect for nature. Their ability to thrive in diverse environments was the result of generations of accumulated wisdom, keen observation, and sustainable practices. Today, their knowledge continues to be revered in modern survival training, conservation efforts, and environmental stewardship. By learning from their time-honored methods, we gain insight into a way of life that remains deeply connected to the rhythms of the natural world.